Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Screen. In the last episode, we explored what parasocial relationships are and why people naturally develop one sided connections with influencers, celebrities, and online personalities. Today, we're shifting gears to look at the business side of those relationships. Brands spend billions of dollars every year partnering with influencers. But why? The answer is simple. Influencers have something traditional advertisements often don't, which is trust. Instead of hearing about a product through a commercial, consumers hear about it from someone they voluntarily follow every day. That repeated exposure creates familiarity, and familiarity often leads to credibility. Research has found that consumers are more likely to engage with products when they believe an influencer genuinely aligns with a brand, rather than simply promoting it for money. When there's a good match between the influencer's personality and the brand they're representing, audiences tend to perceive those recommendations as more believable. For companies, influencer marketing isn't just about reaching millions of people, it's about reaching people who already feel connected to the person delivering the message. So, if trust is the goal, what actually makes an influencer trustworthy? One word comes up over and over in the research: authenticity. Studies consistently show that audiences respond more positively when creators appear genuine, relatable, and honest rather than overly polished or sales focused. People know influencers get sponsorships, but that isn't necessarily the problem. The problem happens when a recommendation feels forced or fake. Researchers have also found out that credibility plays a major role in whether followers act on recommendations. Influencers who consistently share honest opinions, admit when products aren't perfect, or only promote products that match their lifestyle often develop stronger relationships with their audiences. In other words, people aren't just buying products, they're buying the trust they've built with the creator over months or even years of watching their content. This is where parasocial relationships become especially important. Even though the relationship is one sided, followers often begin to feel like they know the creator personally. That perceived familiarity can make recommendations feel more like advice from a friend than a traditional advertisement. But I wanted to know if people actually felt this way, so I conducted my own survey. I surveyed 38 participants about their social media habits, purchasing behavior, and opinions about influencers and celebrities. First, I wanted to understand how much social media people actually consume. I wanted to start off with the demographics and the ages, so we can see that the majority of the participants in this survey were ages 22 to 25, and 16% were 20 to 21, and the outliers were 18 to 19-year-olds and 26 and above. 54.1% were still enrolled in college, while 45.9% weren't. For which social media platforms do you use throughout the day? I asked the participants to select all that apply, and we can see that the majority is Instagram, and coming up is TikTok and Snapchat. I was a little bit surprised to see that X, Threads, and Facebook got a lower rating. Over half of the respondents reported spending 3 to 4 hours on social media every day, while another 37% spent 5 hours or more. I especially wanted to see which type of online personas were the most followed, and the most followed are social media influencers, actors and actresses, and musicians and artists, with the lowest being politicians and comedians. I think a lot of people can agree that just following someone versus engaging with them is completely different, and of course, the most engagement was with social media influencers. When I think of engagement, I think of likes and comments, and some people would go as far to DM the person. I kept this question a little bit open ended. I asked the participants to list three of their top favorite influencers, celebrities, or artists. In these results, you may notice that there's one name that pops up very frequently, and that is Alex Earl. She was mentioned 13 times.
Get ready with me for a tailgate at the University of Miami. Get ready with me to go to a frat party at UMiami. Get ready with me for Ultra Music Festival.
If you spent any time on TikTok over the last few years, that probably isn't surprising. Alex Earl first gained popularity by posting Get Ready With Me videos while she was a student at the University of Miami. Instead of creating perfectly polished content, she shared messy bedrooms, acne breakouts, dating stories, college life, and everyday routines. Her audience felt like they were getting to know the real person instead of watching an advertisement. That is important because research shows that authenticity is one of the biggest reasons people develop trust in online creators. And I think that that should tell us something interesting. People aren't only following celebrities anymore, they're following creators whose daily lives feel relatable, even if those creators have millions of followers. Next, I wanted them to select up to 3 qualities which make them feel connected to a social media personality, and majority of people picked authenticity, sense of humor, and also reliability and lifestyle. The lowest qualities were actually physical appearance, consistency, and interactions with fans. The next question is, have you ever purchased a product, attended an event, or supported a brand because it was recommended or promoted by a social media personality? And 92.1% of participants said yes. I was curious to see the type of products that people have purchased because of an influencer or celebrity, so I let everyone select all that applied, and only 2 people have never purchased anything because of an influencer or celebrity. At the bottom, the Lemmy Bloat gummies by Kourtney Kardashian would fit under wellness and fitness products, but it was an other option, and that's what someone typed in. The main thing that makes someone trust a product recommendation is that the review is honest and authentic. The answer with the least amount of votes were that they clearly disclosed the sponsorship, and only 2 people in the survey said that they usually don't trust recommendations. I then proceeded to ask the participants to rate these statements from a scale of 1 being the lowest and a 5 being the highest. I feel like I know some social media personalities personally, got an average rating of 2.53. I sometimes feel happy or sad because of events happening in the life of an influencer or celebrity I know, got the average rating of 2.63. The statement, I trust recommendations from social media personalities I follow, got the average rating of 3.05. I feel emotionally invested in the lives of some social media personalities, and this one surprised me because based off the charts, you can see that a lot of them look pretty even. There's no crazy outliers. If someone criticized one of my favorite influencers or celebrities, I would feel the need to defend them, which got an average rating of 2.84, and majority of people felt neutral about this statement. I would be disappointed if one of my favorite social media personalities stopped posting online, and this had an average rating of 3.05. So, after looking at both the academic research and my own survey results, one thing became really clear. People may not always realize how much influencers and celebrities affect their decisions, but the influence is definitely there. Most of my participants didn't strongly agree that they felt emotionally attached to creators or that they knew them personally, but at the same time, 90% said that they had purchased a product, attended an event, or supported a brand because of a recommendation from someone they follow online. That tells us something interesting. You don't necessarily have to feel like someone's best friend for them to influence your behavior. Sometimes trust, familiarity, and authenticity are enough. My survey also reinforced what researchers have been saying for years. Authenticity matters. Participants overwhelmingly valued honest reviews, genuine personalities, and creators who actually seem to use the products they recommend. In a world where we're constantly surrounded by sponsored content, people still want recommendations that feel real. Whether it's buying a skincare product, trying a new restaurant, or even attending a concert, the people we choose to follow can quietly shape the choices we make every day. In the next and final episode, I'll step away from the numbers and the academic research and share some of my own reflections after spending the past several weeks researching this topic. We'll look at what I've learned, how my perspective has changed, and what I think this all means for the future of influencer culture and the relationships we build online. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the final episode of Beyond the Screen.